would be right there to help me in any way she could. Still, I couldn't concede my point that easily. Sammy and I haven't even started our second drinks, and you already ordered the third round, I pointed out. We can't let all that money and perfectly good alcohol go to waste. Dawn didn't miss a beat. She stood and picked up the 2 untouched glasses from the table. She turned around and placed them on the table she'd been eavesdropping on. Here you go, ladies. We've been unexpectedly called away and won't be able to finish our drinking. Here are 2 delicious untouched margaritas for you to enjoy. This one is your classic margarita on the rocks, and this pretty pink frozen one here is strawberry. One of the women looked as if she wanted to speak. Before she could, Dawn spotted the waiter coming with our third round perched on his tray and bellowed, "And just in time, here's the rest of them. Put 'em right there, Alberto." She gestured for him to place them on the stranger's table. "We have another classic on the rocks, another frozen strawberry, and this one here." She picked up the drink she'd ordered for herself. "Is top shelf and mango. Who wants it?" She glanced around the table, her gaze landing on the woman closest to the window. You look like a girl who appreciates fine liquor." She set the drink down in front of the woman and immediately reached in her own jeans pocket, pulling out a few bills. She handed them to Alberto. "Keep the change, my friend." She turned back to us. "You ready to go?" "Guess so," I said, standing up. Dawn had made my one solid objection disappear in the blink of an eye, and had managed to convince a group of women that drinks from a stranger's table were suitable for consumption. It was kind of impressive, and, I suspected, evidence of how good Dawn was at her bartending job. Sammy swallowed the last of her drink, grabbed her purse, and stood up. "All right, let's go." Even though it was Sammy's comment about Mary Ellen that convinced us to head to the crime scene, I couldn't tell whether she was actually happy about going or not. I had a feeling she wasn't exactly enjoying herself and was just ready to leave. We headed out of the restaurant and made our way into the heart of town. Fiesta Mexicana was situated at the end of the mile-long boardwalk that ran the length of Cape Bay's beachfront. Main Street ran perpendicular to the beach at the middle of the boardwalk. Mary Ellen's shop was a couple of blocks up from the beach, and my cafe was a little beyond that. It wasn't a long walk, especially on such a nice night. If I'd had my way, I would have gone down and sat on the beach to watch the waves crash under the moon. But between Sammy and Mary Ellen, I knew I was needed elsewhere. Soon, we could see the flashing red and blue lights of the police cars and an ambulance parked outside Mary Ellen's shop. It looked like the entirety of Cape Bay's police force, all 9 of them, was out to aid in the investigation. To be fair, it was still tourist season, so the police department had an extra handful of officers on staff as seasonal help, but the group was still only a fraction of the size of what would have been assembled in New York City for the discovery of a body. The ambulance wasn't even ours. It was from the county EMS station in the next town over. From what I could see, the police also had a spotlight shining into the alley next to Mary Ellen's store. The light actually belonged to the town. I remembered seeing it set up during Cape Bay's annual Founders' Day celebration. A big crowd of people was gathered around the group of police cars blocking the road. Dawn was shameless and walked right past the police cars up to the crime scene tape, which was strung from the corners of the buildings on either side of the alley and around parking meters at the road. A swarm of blue uniforms blocked our view, but Dawn angled and craned her neck to see between them. "I can see him," she hissed back at us. "And?" I asked, not sure I wanted to know. "Pretty sure he's dead." It was my turn to roll my eyes. The phrase, "a body," didn't typically refer to a living body.
"Would you idiots stop standing there and try doing some police work?"
Someone shouted from behind the police tape. The voice was familiar, but between my years in Cape Bay and my work at the cafe, I knew just about everyone on the police force.
"What do you want us to do, Detective?"
one of the officers asked. The detective sighed heavily.
"Oh, for the love of—"
Heavy footsteps moved toward us.
"You," the detective said, "get a camera. Take pictures. Get everything from every angle. Use a ruler so we know how big things are. You, go with him. You, call the medical..."